Hey everyone, it's Ornlu, and we have a new PUP build coming in for AoE2 DE for March of 2024. So you guys can play this if you want. It is available to everybody, but it is basically going to be the preview for the upcoming patch to the game. This is an interesting one, guys, because there aren't that many balance changes, but there's a lot of sort of quality of life updates that will be interesting to see how they play out. So let's go through them here. So first, there's going to be a new limited time scenario, The Siege. Introducing The Siege, a new multiplayer limited time scenario. Play 2v2 co-op versus AI or solo versus AI as the Turks or Byzantines at the epic 1453 siege of Constantinople. Turks must build up their army to take the monument before time runs out. Byzantines have defenses but limited resources to hold on as long as they can. Both sides do battle over the massive and historically inspired city of Constantinople. Play against other players, team up against the AI, or play solo as either side of the battle. And if you love The Siege, you can also try out Victors and Vanquished. I assume this is going to be kind of like The Last Romans, but in a co-op format. So that could be interesting. I'll try and play that with T-West. Now to the in-game stuff. Fixed some crashes, which is nice. Fish traps are now visible behind buildings, which is nice. Some audio fixes. Some UI updates, which is always nice. Ungarrison hotkey now consistently works for rams when having several garrison and ungarrisoned. This is going to be part of some changes to rams that are incoming, which I think you guys will find interesting. And convert hotkey is nice. And here are some good ones. The match will no longer terminate for all players when one player in a game with more than 2 dropped players goes out of sync. Only the desynced player will be dropped. Basically, you're playing a team game, one player drops. Instead of everyone getting kicked out of the game, it's just the one player. And this is a good one. Fixed an issue where it is possible to pause the game endlessly in multiplayer instead of being limited to 10 pauses. This is a bug that some people were abusing to grief their opponents when they were losing. Now, though, it will be limited to 10 as it should be. There's some Xbox stuff that's being added on if you are interested. Now, here's some gameplay fixes. Like, there's a lot of sort of quality of life changes that are incoming, so I'll be interested to see what you guys think about them. So, added a new drop-off resources command for villagers and fishing ships. It makes the units take the resources they are carrying to the nearest drop-off building and then return to work straight away. So this basically works as a, you don't have to force drop anymore, or like if you're trying to save up for feudal age or castle age or any expensive upgrade, and you're, instead of like, clicking the villagers, clicking the drop-off site and having to click them back to work, you can just have them automatically drop off what they're doing and then go right back to work. So a little bit of a ease of life difference right there. And there's also going to be a seek shelter command for villagers. It's basically Town Bell, but only for the selected villagers. It's also only on PC right now, but I guess it will come to Xbox soon. So it's like a villager-led Town Bell. So you just box the villagers and then say, run away, seek shelter. And that is, I guess, what they're going to be doing. And all back to work command for garrisonable buildings. Command sends all back to work garrison villagers from the building. Which is only on PC, so it's basically the reverse of that. Here's a new one. Units in line formation will only regroup into a column after a move or attack move command of more than 30 tiles instead of 10 tiles previously. Patrol command keeps its previous behavior of always forming a column regardless of distance. So if you were using, like, I had a big group of units, if you have them to go, want them to go a short distance, they'll be in a line like this and go like that. Whereas if you tell them to go a long distance, they'll flip over to a column and go like that. Normally, the difference between whether or not you're in a line or a column was 10 tiles. Now it's 30 tiles, so most of the time you're going to be walking in a column unless you want to go across the entire map, basically. So that's going to be kind of an interesting change, because sometimes that would affect how you would micro groups of units, because sometimes you would click a little too far away, they would turn into a line, and then the line of units would run right into the enemy. So this should make things a little bit easier to micro. Patrol is always forming a column. Upon ringing the Town Bell, villagers that have no available garrison slot for them will still walk to the nearest garrisonable building and stand idle. Didn't they always do that? But yeah, but the deactivating the Town Bell or using all back to work command will send the vills back to work. Normally they wouldn't do that, so that's a bit of a change there. Here's a new one. When tasking a group of units to garrison into a siege unit or a transport ship, units will automatically spread themselves out to garrison into a nearby siege or transport of the same type. The old behavior of only garrisoning into a single target is now controlled by holding control when clicking on the garrison target. So basically, you have like a bunch of transports lined up on the shoreline. You click into a transport ship, and all of your units will just run towards all of the transport ships and spread themselves out. Same goes for infantry and whatnot going into rams. This is going to make ram pushes a lot easier to execute, and also make mass transporting easier to execute. So again, quality of life change to make you're fighting the game less. And then open unitspread.gif. No idea what this means. Drag selection when holding down Alt with the selection modifier hotkey setting, so it will no longer select mule carts, so that's going to be a little bit easier. Healing a damaged mule cart by garrisoning it in a building no longer costs resources, which is cute. Siege weapons now deal full damage within the radius of a projectile instead of at the center point only. This is potentially a huge buff to mangonels and bombard cannons. We'll have to do some testing on this, and maybe I'll do another video on it, but this makes it seem like siege units are going to pretty consistently be smashing everything that is within the area, instead of, you're not going to be like clipping units as much as more with mangonels or bombard cannons where you're only dealing a little bit of damage. So I don't know if this is a good thing, because mangonels and bombard cannons are really good, but we'll have to see. Town centers will hit closer targets more reliably now. Thank goodness. This is something that people have really noticed as a change from the Voobly days, or HD if you played that, where, there's a scout that runs right next to your TC, and you garrison the village to try and kill it, but the TC misses all of its arrows anyway, even though it shouldn't. So that is going to be theoretically fixed, so good there. Drop relic button hotkeys is fine, and then they add some following cheat codes to turn your villas into Flemish militia. All that good stuff, that is fine. There are some fixes as well. This isn't anything I think that is as exciting. Oh, yeah, no, there's this one. Placing a building on top of a boar-like animal no longer prevents it from returning to its original location. So this is something that if you were to place the, like a house when you're quick walling in the Ville, the boars won't move ever again unless you're trying to lure them again. Now they will walk back if you're not paying attention, so that's going to be a little bit harder to do. I wonder if this affects wolves, because if you palisade blocked essentially a wolf that was chasing you, the wolf wouldn't ever attack anything again unless you attacked it for some reason. So I'd like to see that change, because otherwise wolves just don't really do anything to people with like super good micro, which wolves should do stuff. Let's see. Villagers no longer other violent huntable animals. Okay. Description of hoardings changed to strengthens castles, crepos, and donjons by providing 1,000 hit points. You get more than 1,000 hit points for these buildings, so I'm not too sure what this means. I don't think this is actually supposed to be a nerf, but I think it's mostly supposed to say that it affects crepos and donjons too. Saying it affects crepos is kind of weird, because Bulgarians don't get hoardings in the first place, so I guess that's just for all text mode. Don't know if any of this stuff is too impactful. Oh yeah, fixed an issue where players could get the same civilization multiple times. This is something they changed a while ago, but it didn't seem to work properly. Now it's going to work properly. Would have more damage. Okay, that's fine. They did make some campaign changes when it comes to pop limit. Reducing it in some areas. In most areas, actually, except for Leloy 6. So making it a little bit harder, which I think is good, because most of the campaigns I feel like just made it easier and easier. Some bug fixes here and there, nothing too crazy. You can get the hot and spicy achievement a bit more easily now, so that's something. But here are the balance changes. There aren't that many, but it is something that is still worth talking about. Georgians, this is where the most of them come in. You no longer start with the food penalty. It's going to make Georgians a much easier civ for players to start out with. And now, cavalry HP regeneration bonus has been changed, so it's just a flat 15% HP per minute. So I guess if you have 100 HP, it would be the same. So like a knight would be automatically getting the same HP as Georgians currently do in Imperial Age. Less than 100 HP, so like light cav and stuff like that, and Monospas, I guess it's slightly worse than an Imp, but more consistent throughout the game, I guess is my understanding. We'll have to see again exactly how the math falls on that one. But Monospa nerfs. I'm a big fan of this. Monospas now take longer to train by 3 seconds, and the requirement for additional attack is increased from 5 to 7. So you need 7 Monospa together to get the +1 attack, and then going all the way up to 35 instead of 25. So big fan of that. Fixed bug where the food discount for Incas wasn't resulting in the correct food cost values for Eagles and Skirmishers. Now cost 20 in WoD and Feudal Age, 20 in Castle, 19 in Imp. I think this is making it cost 1 more? I'm not too sure how this works out, but it's basically just a minor change there. Just a 1 food difference, I'm pretty sure. Genoese Crossbowman train time decreased from 18 seconds to 14 seconds. So this is going to make the Elite Genoese Crossbowman upgrade even less useful because Elite Genoese Crossbowman only... It did increase the unit's train time, so now it only increases HP. I think you get 1 more armor and you get, I think, 1 more bonus damage. It's not much. So maybe, I don't know, some way for the Elite Genbo to get more of a buff, or maybe make the Elite Genoese Crossbowman upgrade cheaper. We'll like to see that. And of course, Flaming Camel buffs, because why not? So, Flaming Camel no longer requires Timbered Siegecraft to be trained at castles, but now it comes available instantly in the Imperial Age at the Siege Workshop. So you can just go for your Flaming Camels from Siege Workshops right away upon hitting Imp, so sure, go for it, man. And their train time was increased correspondingly. So it's slower to get the Flaming Camels out, but you can do so from a much easier building than a castle. You can now add more map sizes to the launch parameters to get even bigger maps. If you really want to do that. But I guess those are the balance changes. Nothing too crazy. Good changes here to Georgians for sure. Nerfing the Monospa, making the Civ otherwise a little bit better. Don't really have a strong opinion about the Italians change, and don't really have a strong opinion about the Tatars change. In general, I'm pretty happy with the balance in the game. We'd like to see some stuff like reworked or maybe toned down more than like straight up buffed or nerfed. But Monospas are definitely one of the most egregiously overpowered things in the game right now, so I'm a big fan of changing that. Beyond that, there is some AI stuff. Pathfinding military units will now more readily attack a specific right-click unit instead of freezing or attacking an alternate unit. However, units will still attack alternate units as usual if they are part of a large group or the intended target is impossible to reach. Thank goodness. How many times have you guys been using scouts in Feudal Age, and you try and click on that one villager, and the scouts say, no, I'm not going to attack that villager. I'm going to attack anything else. So yeah, that should be much easier. And then when a right-click command is sent to a unit that is temporarily not possible to path to, units on stand ground will attempt to attack the selected target for longer before attempting to switch to another target. Again, just a good change there. There are some scripting changes, some modding changes. Of course, I will link this in the description of the video. Some editor stuff, and some scripting stuff. And that is it, guys. So it's not a huge patch as far as balance goes, but there are a lot of quality of life fixes coming in. Which I'm a bigger fan of, because I would rather see AoE be a smoother game to play right now than necessarily like needing all these big balance adjustments. So let me know what you guys think of these changes in the comments. What are you looking forward to the most? And thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.